Tonkashla, we want to come to you in this way, Tonkashla. You've given us these ways, Tonkashla, this spirituality, Tonkashla. We want to thank you for these things that you've given to us, and that we do these things in a good way, in a good heart, a good mind, and a good spirit, Tonkashla. That we carry this message, Tonkashla, to people, and we educate them in a good way. How? Matakwayas, in all our relations. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Josh Silver. I'm a co-founder of Rebrand Washington Football. Rebrand Washington Football is a grassroots organization of fans who are asking Dan Snyder to change the name of the team. I'm going to make some introductory remarks, and then we're going to have some other speakers, and at the end we're going to hand off petitions to the team representative, and then we're going to close with a Native American song. We are delivering 1,900 petitions to Mr. Dan Snyder today, asking Mr. Snyder to change the name of the team. Rebrand Washington Football gathers petitions throughout the course of a year in front of metro stations and at farmers markets. We are attempting to educate thousands of people throughout the region so that they become advocates and ask for the name to be changed as well. This is the third year that we have done this. In the course of 3 years, we have collected over 5,300 petitions. Why are we doing this? We are doing this, ladies and gentlemen, because the name is a racial slur. We use shirts when we gather petitions. Let's see if I have dexterity to get the shirt correct. Right now, the team is called the Racial Slurs. That's actually the name. That's actually the real name of the team. And when you turn the shirt on its back, you get the definition. I usually don't say the word, but I'll say it once. Redskin. What does redskin mean? It means disparaging and offensive, a contemptuous term used to refer to Native Americans. That's the dictionary-defined meaning of the term redskin. It is not an honor to call the team a dictionary-defined racial slur. I'm Jewish. And for me, the equivalent would be if the logo on the helmet was a Nazi swastika. Along with the petitions today, we are also presenting to Mr. Snyder, and I hope he watches this movie. It's called More Than a Word. It's a documentary about the damage of the name, and it is produced and directed by two Native American artists, brothers, John and Ken Little. This movie shows that it's just not a couple of people that care about this. Thousands and thousands of people work hard asking Mr. Snyder to change the name of the team through protests, through demonstrations, through court cases, through public pressure. And we hope that Mr. Snyder has a change of the heart, and then 2018 is a special year when the name is changed. Today we have speakers and we have artists with us, and the first speaker, I am proud and honored that we have a council member from Washington, D.C., Council Member David Grasso, who's at large, and he was first elected in November 2012. He is dedicated to education, and under his leadership, the Committee of Education works on issues ranging from childhood education to adult learning. In addition to his focus on education, Councilmember Grasso is committed to addressing inequities within the criminal justice system, improving health outcomes throughout the city, promoting transparency and open government, strengthening the economy, and furthering engaging residents in the political process. David Grasso is a native Washingtonian. He earned his law degree from Georgetown University. He is a proud member of several progressive organizations, including the Sierra Club, NARAL, Pro-Choice America, and the ACLU. Before attending college, David has been committed to this work all of his life. He volunteered helping Salvadorian refugees living in Honduras, and he spent time in San Antonio building a transitional housing program for homeless women and children. And he's leading the movement in Washington, D.C. to change the name. I introduce to you Councilmember David Grasso.
Thanks.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for being here.
And good morning, everybody. I am here today to throw my support behind this effort. Ever since I was first elected, it's been a commitment of mine and a mission of mine to get the name changed. And It's pretty basic that to me this is a racist and derogatory term that needs to be removed from the Washington football team's name. The very first act I did in the city council was put forth a resolution calling on this name being changed, and in fact all of my colleagues, all 13 of us, joined together making that call. This is another step in that effort. It's going to be a long, I think, road to get to the point where the team recognizes that they're doing more harm than perhaps they recognize now. There have been, as you all know, court cases, there have been petitions, there have been work done that continues to build the momentum. And I do believe that after many years we will see a change soon. And my hope is that Dan Snyder will accept this challenge and do the right thing. Sometimes it's literally just asking yourself, what is the right thing to do? What is the morally correct thing to do? And continuing to disparage American Indians in the name of this team and the mascots throughout this country is the wrong thing to do. And as an at-large council member in the District of Columbia, representing the whole city, I can say that I will never support the financing of a football stadium for this team as long as this name is associated with the team. And I've made that point clear. I've worked with my colleagues in Maryland as well, and we have put forth petitions and letters saying that we will not support that. So one of my colleagues asked me the other day, who's known for building stadiums, Councilmember Jack Evans, he said, what is it going to take to get you to support bringing the football team back to Washington? And I said, it's very simple. Just change the name. And, you know, he has not committed to doing that. He has not even asked that it be done. And I think it's time for us to do that. So I'm here to show my support and thank you all for continuing this effort for the past couple years, and continue to do it year after year until we get this name changed and some justice for American Indians in this country in some small way. Thank you.
Thank you. We have other speakers. Mary, do you want to make some remarks?
Good morning, my name is Mary Phillips. I'm from the Omaha and Laguna Pueblo tribes, and I just wanted to present a letter and words today to the Washington football team and to Mr. Dan Snyder. Dear Mr. Snyder, we members of the Native American community of Greater Washington stand here today alongside our allies, the Rebrand Washington Football Group members and DC Council member, in demanding that you take responsibility and change the mascot and racist name of the team. In a humane society, all members of race, religion, culture, or nationality would share an equal standing, the ability and human right to deem its cultural representation, whether Native American, African American, Western, Latin American, or Christian, Jewish, Islamic, or traditional Native American. It is our inherent human right to choose how we, with integrity and dignity, identify ourselves. It has been made clear in both society and through federal and legal systems that protect citizens of this country from harm, that Native American tribes, Native American leaders, and Native people have spoken with stern rebuke of the name of the Washington football team. Change the name. In September of this year, the football team joined in solidarity to recognize the racial injustice and police brutality experienced by people of color. The team announced it will work to address divisions and bring unity, civility, and respect to our greater community. Now is your chance to admonish the divisiveness that racism brings, unify with cultural and tribal leaders, and share in civility the mutual respect Native Americans deserve, especially for those that suffer from the use of the harmful racial slur, the R word, on a daily, unwarranted, agonizing basis. With each passing year, your term is used, the term that once signaled a reprehensible call, a summons for the decapitation, slaughter, or other mutilation of the body parts of babies, women, elderly, and warriors that lived not like the Western populace, and whose only crime was to be indigenous at a time not too long ago. Change the name. Many recognize this year's anniversary of a pivotal lawsuit and share the words of our treasured Native American leader, Suzanne Harjo. who sums up an alternative understanding of the impact of using the R word. On September 10th, 1992, we filed the lawsuit Harjo et al. Versus Pro Football Inc. against the disgusting name of the NFL Washington franchise. In all that time, 25 years, the organization has not returned to a Super Bowl. Amazing coincidence? Just saying. It is also important to note that a year ago this week, many of us were here to make our request and delivered the wants of the people of your community to change the name. Since some things change, awareness of racial oppression in the NFL, and some things don't. This week last year, the Washington team's record was 6-5-1, and this year it's 5-7-0. Change the name. Lastly, we as Native Americans of the DC area hope to bring forth the understanding that our Native American values and culture are not to be used for profit and prejudice. Even though the offense is ours, the deculturization forced on us by the Washington football team, fans, institution, and its proprietors is an affront to our history within this proud nation and the promise as equal people who serve this nation and whose prosperity cannot be denied. Change the name. Sincerely, Native Americans of the Washington, D.C. greater area. I would like to add some words from another peer leader of ours, Amanda Blackhorse. He says today and wants a message for those who stand with us. Let them know that we need to get into the culture of football. We've done our court cases, we've protested peacefully, we've done the most civil things, but we still have the Washington team. We need to get into the culture and make changes there. That's what Rebrand Washington is doing, making changes with the fans and within. We need all the help we can get, and I'm appreciative of their efforts. Thank you, Amanda Blackhorse.
Thank you. So Amanda Blackhorse, for people who don't know, was the second Supreme Court case against the name. And even though that was not successful, ultimately it's going to be the public pressure and the moral pressure that will be successful. We have ended legal segregation in this country. We still have a long ways to go before we get equality. And this will be one step along the path. Ian Washburn, do you want to make a few words? Ian is a co-founder of Rebrand Washington Football and a longtime fan of the team.
Hello, my name is Ian Washburn. I'm a lifelong fan of the Washington football team. This past week was the 76th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. That day has a little bit of extra meaning for me also because I grew up hearing stories about my grandparents were in Griffith Stadium at the Washington football game on the afternoon of December 7th, 1941. So as a kid, those stories didn't mean as much to me, but as I've grown older and my family legacy has grown to matter so much more, and the Washington football team has been so much a part of my family for so many generations, Pearl Harbor Day has kind of a double meaning to us every year. I think about the Washington football team. It sounds strange, but I do. The Washington football team was founded by George Preston Marshall. He was the last segregationist in major U.S. sports. He left behind a very sad legacy, one which is still celebrated and honored to this day in the team name. It's the name that he came up with. There remains a monument for George Preston Marshall at RFK Stadium, the longtime home of the Washington football team. And RFK Stadium closed this past year, and the monument still remains. We met with Events DC, the leaders from Events DC, who have ultimate say on the monument, and they don't want to do anything with it. They're just kind of letting it be. And we think it would be a very powerful gesture to remove that monument, to show that George Preston Marshall is not somebody that we want to honor in DC sports. His legacy is shameful. It should be retired. So we hope and pray that that monument will disappear. It's just a small symbol of doing the right thing. So we ask Mr. Snyder to look into maybe getting rid of that monument. I don't know if he will, but we certainly hope that he will. So thank you all for coming out today. Thank you very much. And we hopefully won't have to be back next year. So change the name, change the logo. There is no honor in racism. Thank you.
Change the name. Anyone else who want to make a few words?
So I'm Bill Mosley. I'm another one of the founders of Rebrand Washington Football. And I think the fact that we're all out here on a day like this shows the dedication of all of us to this cause. You know, over the last few years, we've become more aware of the persistence of racism in our country, and this has been manifested in the protests at professional football games by the players. Now, Dan Snyder over there says he thinks we should bring our country together over this issue, and the best way certainly to bring the people of the Washington area together would be to change the name of his team. It's something he can do by himself. You know, our country is stronger when we celebrate our diversity. Changing the name would be the most patriotic thing he can do. Now, I also want to mention that, I want to make this point that I think we should push back against people who say that the name issue is not important. You know, I think over the past few years we have seen the damage that racism is doing in our country with incidences of police shootings of African Americans, over the rise of certainly this year white supremacy and racist movements. And you know, I think we have to say that no racism is acceptable. It's never acceptable. Demeaning people of minority ethnicities is never acceptable. It's like saying, you know, a few years ago, some people thought that harassing women in the workplace was acceptable. Well, we know today that's not acceptable. And that point has been made very strongly in recent weeks and months. And just in the same way that there's no degree of racism is acceptable. This name is not acceptable, and so we demand that Dan Snyder change the name. Change the name. Thank you.
Change the logo.
So at this time, we're going to close. We'll close before we close. We're going to close with the Native American song. But before we close, I'd like to invite the team representative, and I'd like to hand off the petitions to the team representative. We thank him for coming.
Thank you, Will.
And we hope that Will's counsel to the team, and we hope that Will talks to Mr. Snyder and asks Mr. Snyder to change the name. These are the petitions, Will, and there's also a copy of More Than a Word documentary, the documentary, the movie for Mr. Snyder to watch. It's this one, and also this is Mary Phillips' letter. So we thank you for being here today. Is there anything that you want to say? Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming out, Will.
And we're going to close with real, authentic Native American culture. That's fake culture, fake news over there. Yeah. This is real Native American authentic culture. It's pretty beautiful.
It's been a historical practice of colonizers to tell Native people, not just Native people, but people of color, that we're doing these things for your benefit. We're changing your culture for your benefit. We're taking your land for your benefit. We're renaming you for your benefit. My present name, the Christian name, that's not my ancestral name. They gave that to me during a Trail of Tears. Is this going through the line, as you see on TV and in historical record? Give them my tribal name. That's not your name. Your name is Smith. Your name is Johnson. Your name is George. And now here we are today. The debate is that Native Americans, you can't get over the atrocities that have been committed to you. It's over with. We're not murdering you. We're not killing you. Get over it. Well, it's not over. I can't get over it because it's still going on. The R name misrepresents me, misrepresents my people, misrepresents my children. I don't want my children growing up thinking that we're caricatures, that we're mascots. And I don't want other people, other children, other races' children thinking that I'm a mascot. They don't take us seriously when they put us in that light. We're almost relegated back to being subhuman. I'm a human being. My people are human beings. We are all human beings. Treat each other like we are all the same. Oh, but Doc Wells. Yeah.